Mitchell Portland's podcast. We back again. This is gonna be a explosive episode. She already giggling in my ears. The legendary Natalie Stavola. Welcome to the Mitchell Portland's podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We're here to talk a lot of great things, and I feel like today. You've watched the clips, you've watched my show, so we're just going to jump in the deep end. You were on a recent podcast. Speak to the I can't do it like you, the acronym H.H.A.L.T. How do you say that again? H.H.A.L.T?
H.H.A.L.T. Yeah. So I tell my clients when they're processing emotions or when you're in the middle of like making a decision or you're about to do something, if you're about to jump on a dating app or you're about to email someone, HALT, which is horny, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. If you're feeling any of those things, don't do it. Don't get on the app. That's like being high at the grocery store. You're not going to get what you want. If you're lonely and you're on a dating app, you're going to get, by accident, you're going to pick someone that makes you feel more lonely. If you're horny on a dating app, you're just going to get someone who's just down for a good time and and that's fine. You can do that. But you'll be hunting more, and it's just not a really great mindset. You won't really catch anything that you're wanting to catch. You'll catch something you don't want to catch. I'll be here all day.
When I heard that, I almost spit out my water. HALT. You need to trademark that and put that on some merchandise. I'm going to keep it real.
HALT. Yeah, I know, right? HALT. But I mean, HALT is already out there. A lot of people know about HALT. I just, we needed that extra H.
Right? Let's talk about it. We're here to talk, though, all great things, dating, relationships. And I think this is going to be explosive conversation. And it's not because I want to get the message clear here. It's not because we really deal with things in our life, but I feel like I need to bring it back for the summer season because I know folks are out here living their best life when it comes down to being on boats and patios and out there and all that good stuff. And then they try to wind it back down right around fall season, winter season, and then they want to be in cuddle season, cuffing season, all this, foolish
I like that
stuff.
Cuddle season. Yeah.
Right? Cuddle season, Netflix and chill, Hulu and shenanigans. So let's get into this because you're a dating coach.
Yes.
You have the NLP.
Yes.
Practitioner. You have all those great things, all those great accolades.
I also have a degree in psychology. I stuck it up there. I really wanted to do background. I used to hide that thing in my closet. Now I'm like, what am I doing? I was someone that I did not celebrate myself. I have won a lot of awards, even in producing. I'm also, in the television and film industry. And I was someone that was constantly looking at the future and anxious about the future and forgetting to celebrate the now. And so that thing was in my closet for a long time. And now it's like, wait a minute, let me practice what I preach here, which it did. I started integrating that a long time ago. And I also, I'm a mindset and manifestation coach for men. I do coach women as well, too. But we also do focus a large part on career. Because what I do is I help people understand and fall in love with themselves. And because of that, once you access that, it's like the coding to your life. You know exactly where you want to go and what you want to do. And we see that there is a huge correlation between career and relationships. Huge. So we unblock one, we wind up unblocking the other. So all my clients that come to me wind up by 6 weeks in making more money, getting getting an accolade, getting a raise, promotion, starting a new company. So there's a lot of correlations, and I practice that in my own life. So there's my
and the reason why I wanted to ask that question is because there's a stigma that comes with dating coaches and women. Do you personally believe? Because I feel like if you have the information that can change people's situation, you should be able to speak on it. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. But why do you think there's a negative connotation why women dating coaches shouldn't be in the field speaking and helping men or women?
I mean, why is there a negative connotation with women in general? I mean, that's like red pill community stuff, you know? That's just that broken, wounded BS. And especially, it's not old. It's just nothing. I mean, it is old. There's nothing new about it. It's just wounded individuals. It can also be some of the loudest. So oftentimes we think that they're the majority when they are not the majority. They might get together and strategize better, like we saw in this last election, right? But the wounded can just yell a little bit louder, and that's on either side. That's on any side. That's with anyone. When someone's in trauma and someone's in pain, they scream a lot louder because they're needing help, and they'll lash out. What do you do if you adopt a dog and that dog's been abused for years and it's hiding in a corner and it's growling? Do you stick your hand in it and like try and pull it out of the corner?
Nope.
Why not?
Because you get bit. You
can get bit. So some of these people right now, it's like, you know, we can go into those spaces, and, you know, you and I talked about it. I've entered into those spaces, and I do have to be mindful because I'm going in and there's a cornered dog and they don't know it. They don't know that they've been, you know, programmed and beaten down, and that what they're saying is honestly just repeated garbage. And it's not bad, and I'm not upset about it. I'm not, because through that you see the men and the women who have healed, and when you focus on the good expands. And I watch them come to the forefront, and I get to focus on them more, and that makes my heart flutter. But the stigmas on, I mean, I've made an amazing career out of being a dating coach for men. I am more than just dating, so I get to play with, like, I go in and I've done boot camps for men with in crypto and in stocks. I know nothing about crypto or stocks. I got nothing. It's not my realm. However, I know subconscious programming and fears and reacting and losing money versus responding and winning money with more time and less effort. I know that like the back of my hand. I could teach that one with my eyes closed. So, you know, I know how to pick better for yourself. So I'm not mad at those people. They're just wounded. A lot of them will step up. A lot of them will heal. And a lot of them will regret that they did that.
You're speaking on the juicy stuff, because healing is not everybody's forte. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And I can speak from a man's perspective. Like I said, I know this is going to probably trigger a lot of people, or it's going to help a lot of people, because that word narcissism, I feel like, is an over regurgitated word that a lot of people don't even know what it means, and they just throw it out there. You get what I mean?
I do. I think that anyone could be on that scale, and I think that that's where you can have some truth in it. But yeah, it's what's annoying is trigger, trauma, and narcissism, and then there's some other buzzwords like woke that people have used and demonized. And now when you're actually in these spaces and you are trying to help people, suddenly it's like, oh, you use these buzzwords and people are like, oh my God, it's so bad. Don't use that word. And you're like, oh my God.
Right? So, and that's why I want to spring to you, because you're a woman. I'm pretty sure you date males.
Yeah. I date males.
Right? And I'm a male and I date women. So
I have to interact with men.
You know what I mean? You get what I mean? I want to dress it up in a certain way.
Excuse me. Yeah. I get to interact with men. I love my men. Sorry. I have to.
No, it's all good. And I think that there's this thing that I see happen a lot where the narcissist will call you a narcissist because you set up your boundaries and your non-negotiables.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Let's speak on that real quick.
Projecting. So we call that projecting. For anyone out there that's ever dealt with abusive situations or toxic situations, or what's another word that you can, situations that are not good for you, that make you feel bad or off, that's your first tell. If you're against someone or talking to someone and they're putting you down or making you feel bad, their words will actually feel like razor blades. Other people around you won't always spot it because they'll be charming in order to triangulate. Now, this is where anyone can have on the scale look like a narcissist, because you can be an a-hole or just awful human being and not necessarily a full-blown narcissist with NPD. You can have some other stuff. You could be heavily traumatized and extremely wounded, but that is a tactic used. They do it in dark psychology, and some politicians will use it. That's why I do what I do, and I coach people, because when I can unplug you and I can help you see your truth and I can help you heal, then, oh my goodness, you can read people so fast. You can tell when someone's putting you down and pretending that they're lifting you up. And then when you set a boundary, then playing the victim, and they'll do reactive abuse. They'll poke holes at you, poke holes at you, poke holes at you until you react. And then they go, oh my God. And my favorite is on the micro level, I can show people how that's done in their relationships, in their career, in their friendships, right? You can spot it. And then on the macro level, you can actually see this with some dictators, with some people in positions of power, with some prime ministers, with some people who are wanting to be a dictator. You can easily spot that stuff. So we could talk about this all day.
We can, because you're not lying. And the thing is, because I have my coaching background, right? And stuff like that. But what I tell the people is that when you're self-regulated and you're grounded in your own part of life, right? As a male, you can be grounded and still have that empathy through listening.
Oh my goodness.
And a level of leadership.
Yes. Do you mostly coach men or women or both?
So when I was coaching back in 2020 and then the podcast got busy, it was both. I did both. I did both. And it's so funny because I speak to my friend, Tyrone. Mm-hmm. Shout outs to him. And he said, Tyrone, the other day we were talking on the phone.
Badu's got a song about him.
Shout outs to Tyrone. I know when he hears this, he's going to be like, Rory, what are you doing?
Tell him I'm gone and come
right? But he said something. Yeah, he said something to me that made a lot of sense, where he was like, dude, he held me accountable for something. We were talking. This was back maybe a couple years ago. And he goes, when you accepted it, and he goes, I talked to you again on the phone. He's like, this guy's a different dude. And this was a recent conversation. So what I say to people is this, is that you got to go through some of the icky moments in dating and relationships. There's going to be some bozos. There's going to be some people that don't really give a damn. They're projecting their past trauma from a marriage, from dating long term. And then they come around you and then they try to just chip away at the foundation with the axe or the pitchfork. And when they use the pitchfork or the axe, they realize when they keep hitting the oak tree, all you're doing is you're just seeing the shavings come off. Hence, you're not putting a dent in a divot. So what they do is they're like, this is new. I'm not used to this centered groundness. So how do I deal with it? How do I treat it? They run away, or they project and they gaslight. Yes. And they say all of these nonsensical names.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Well, so I was going to add to that. I love that is two things. One is we go through that because when you come out the other side and you've healed and you can drop your guard, but up your boundaries and have that like regulation and trust and relearn trust again within yourself, when you find the right people that you're in alignment with, it means so much more to you because you've overcome your hero's journey. You've gone through your hero's journey to meet your partner. That's not a project, it's your partner. And what happens is, boom, you explode even more with success. That love feels so juicy and lovely, and you're more likely to be healthy with it and appreciate it. So it's part of our journey in life, and it's a beautiful thing. The other thing is, we usually attract partners that are there in order to bring out our greatest wounds so that we can overcome to get our greatest blessings. So if you do doubt yourself and you are someone that grew up in a family where you felt like everything was always your fault, you're too sensitive, is what you were told, and there was manipulation or power games, then yes, by accident, when you're out about in the world and you don't see your worth, a narcissist will, or someone who's on that scale, or someone who's toxic, or someone who hates themselves but projects and puts a mask on to the world, they're going to watch you move through a room and they want you. They want what you do. They're upset that they can't do what you do. So what's really lovely is if anyone's ever been involved with someone who they could look at and say that could be a narcissist, that's actually not bad, because what that means is that you fell in love with yourself, because that person, how they get you is they actually put on a mask that's you. They reflect back all the good things in the beginning, the first 2 to 3 months. They reflect back all the things that they like about you that they don't have. And so they're reflecting you back to you. So the way to heal it afterwards is learning how to believe in yourself, trust yourself, and heal those wounds that tell you in your head that, like, I'm not good enough, I'm too sensitive, everything is always my fault. Once you heal those, then it's like, when the toxic person's mask comes off, you're just going to see them as who they are, which is a really broken individual who's really struggling to love themselves. It doesn't mean you stay, because that will take you down. When we're around sick people, we get sick, right? But you can keep moving on and stand in the light and show other people how to do the same.
And hopefully they can heal. But I'll be honest, I don't think those folks can heal. Because
I've coached some NPD. It takes a long time. They have to hit a massive bottom. Like, imagine a drug addict or alcoholic. Like, I'm 8 years clean and sober now. I was the last one to figure out that I was an addict. I was like, what do you mean? I'm over here shoplifting for survival.
Shit.
Oh yeah, I was a real one. I am a real one. And I had to hit a nasty, gnarly bottom to wake up. So I have seen it with people who have NPD. I've coached some. I'm friends with one of them right now online that he's done a lot of healing, and he actually helps people online with how to identify and get out of those types of relationships, or what to do and how to navigate. So it's possible, but it's not probable. It takes about
but
6
you know what?
years of behavioral therapy.
Yeah, and you know what I always say to that is, it's not to make any mocking or jeering. It's people love the attention they love the attention that broken gives them, because it's easy to run to your family, to run to your friends, especially your friends. You run to your friends and say, oh, well, he or she did this to me. And guess what they do? They just rock-a-bye baby and they coddle your weak ass. I'm going to say it. I'm here to fire up.
For real.
They coddle you because no, you don't have people that are going to point in your chest and say, hey, listen, maybe you're the one who actually messed that up.
Yeah, I feel the same way with, like, when we talked about being a female in the dating space. First of all, I'll be honest, a lot of men, even if they talk out loud and say, like, yeah, women don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I get that phone call where they're crying and they're going, I'm so tired of having to pretend around other men. I'm so tired. So I don't really care what other people are saying, and you can come to me secretly. That's fine. But the reason I say that too is, what were we talking about? The coddling. When we get a reward from being that toxic or being that egregious, or you get clickbait or you get money, like we talked about one of the podcasts I was on, I noticed that I was like, oh, this is how they make a living. This is how they make money. So, but that's not how they work completely behind the scenes. I got to be honest with you. A lot of what people see on the screen, or what they see clickbait, or what they see on YouTube, is actually not how those people are once the cameras aren't rolling.
You're right. You're right.
They're making money and they're getting a reward off of saying crazy things or continuing to stay toxic, right? Yeah. Or they go to their friends and their friends are like, yeah, you're right. She was toxic. It was her. But why is it that everyone that you are with, is there a pattern here? Maybe it's you. You're the common denominator.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is that, and you can even speak to this as well, when we've done the work, the years of work, we get around people and we can identify it. And sometimes I'll tell people this, the inside secret is when we start shutting up and we close our mouth and we do more listening and we ask us the questions and we hear how you just arrange and dress up everything because you don't have no filter, you faking. And I can tell and I can spot that. And I'm just like, coaching meter goes on, but I got to shut it off.
Me too. Oh my God, me too.
I got to shut it off because I'm like, you're not who you are.
Yeah.
You're not who you are. You know what I mean?
Even for this one, let's say that you're around someone that doesn't speak and withdraws and has a guard up if he ever watches this, he's gonna know I'm talking about him because I just fucking told his ass off. But I tried to explain it to some young ones that I was around. I was like, your tactics right now and your manipulation tactics, I was like, they're only going to work on women or other people, the men that do not like themselves and are still learning to fall in love with themselves. This will not work on someone that's done some inner work and looking for quality. And they were like, well, I don't say anything, or I I withdraw. And how could you possibly read me or see me? And it's like, you don't realize that your guard, when that goes up, for anyone listening, people feel you before you speak. Your energy precedes you in that room. If you're in a board meeting, if you're in a meeting, if you're in and most people will know this because they'll know what I'm talking about. Because if you've ever done a presentation, or you've ever had to be around a group of people, or you've ever had to show up for your boss, and all of a sudden you guys are in a fight, or you guys are arguing and you don't know why, or you clam up in the middle of, having to give a presentation. Your energy, people can feel that. And either you're going to drop everyone's guard around you because you're unguarded and you're present and you're breathing, or when you're guarded and your walls go up, even if people don't recognize it and can't put a name to it, people guard up around you and they're less likely to hear you. And that's why it's for those of us who've done the work, even if someone's not speaking, you're saying a lot.
You came in here just to drop nuclear warheads and just leave the casualties. And if you wake up from the shrapnel, you wake up. If you don't, then I don't know. It's sink or swim. You know what I mean?
I'll throw you a lifeline. I'll throw you something. You can do it. I'm not going in there with you anymore. You're going to have to do that for yourself, but I will pull you to shore.
And that's the thing. And you see it all the time. I talk to a lot of my men guys, and we're all saying the same thing. There's a lot of women that come around us and we're centered, but they're on avalanche foundation.
Oh, yeah.
You just blow a trick wind like this and the whole snow and everything just comes down. Because it's just well, why are you walking around still projecting? Why are you monkey branching from guy to guy, girl to girl, whatever orientation you want to hang around with? Why? Is it because of the level of loneliness that you are? Yeah. Sometimes take that iPhone, turn it off, log out of social media, and put your phone down, and maybe pick up a book, or find that therapist, or find that podcast, or find the information that's out there that can change your situations through YouTube. There's a lot of free information out there, but I don't understand why men or women don't want to go use it.
And then you're around people that are just heavily triggered, haven't done any inner work, and you're just you need to put the phone down. Stop getting the dopamine hits. Dopamine Detox is a good book to read. I haven't read it. I just know about it. But I have my clients that have read it, and they give me feedback. That one is really good about getting out of the quick hits we get when it comes to social media. Toxicity can give us dopamine hits. And then the other thing too is that guys out there who keep running into if you find that you're grounded, man or woman, if anyone's listening and you feel like you're grounded, but you keep getting around people that are not, then that still means you have work to do. That means right now that instability is still very familiar to you. And you've had to be the one that grounded everyone or grown up way too fast, too soon. So chances are you had to reparent your parents. And now what's happening is that you're still in a repeat pattern from childhood where you're still around people that need regulating and you doing the extra work. So it doesn't mean all women are toxic or modern feminism is the devil. It means that you have some wounds to heal because the rest of us are not around that shit.
You know what the funny thing is? I feel like you're built for the screen. You're built for the screen because here's the thing is this, the personality comes out. You know what I mean? And I think what happens is a lot of folks see the big personality. One of my friends in New York said it is the bigger the personality, a lot of people are not going to know how to even relate with you because they see it.
The personality, what?
The bigger the personality, a lot of folks won't even know how to relate with you because they see that you take up space. And as you take up space.
Been to the Northeast?
What's that, sorry?
Have they not been to the Northeast? I'm pretty sure we're all like this.
Some folks are not on the East Coast. Oh, I said the East. The East is we the North. I'm in the North, but we're in the East Coast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're in Canada.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Okay. But But anyway, continue.
We're different though, but here's what it is. But I think like maybe different places. You could be down south. You could be in the West. It's like, is civilization different? Is the air quality not where it needs to be? Maybe you got to train high altitude. I don't know. Yeah. I know a couple guys in health and fitness that can tell you how to train yourself high altitude. Because I think what happens is folks, I always say this, you go out some places, right? And men will always shrink in environments where there's other men. And there'll be a group of ladies around. Sorry?
Is that just if you're, if you haven't learned to take up space yet? Or if you
learn not to take up space, right? So myself is like you command your presence, you become big. Don't ever shrink down and be like this because people are not gonna take you seriously.
I used to do that. I used to shrink in spaces. I never wanted to make another woman uncomfortable around me because I was told my whole life, and I never thought I was pretty, but I was told my whole life that I looked like the type of woman who would steal their man or would cheat on someone, which I've never done. That killed me. So I actually spent about 20 years shrinking in spaces. Oh, yeah.
20 years shrinking in spaces.
20 years shrinking in spaces.
So if I do the math.
All of it.
If I do the math, that would peg you 32 tops.
That's good math.
Yeah.
It's not correct, but it's great math.
But you see what I did there, though. We don't look our age. Trust me, we don't look our age.
We don't. I'm happy about that.
That's why I said like 32 tops. That's all good. It makes sense. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
What's that?
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, continue. So some of the men that you've talked to.
Yeah, some of the men, they still want to shrink in spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it trauma? No. But there's no that level up mentality. There's no Mario and Luigi, eat the mushroom, eat the fire flower, start spitting out that fire. You know what I mean? It's like, I just want to stay small and think I can go through all the levels of life. Good luck. Have you tried to play Mario playing that way? You can't. It's impossible. So bad.
I've tried it.
You see what I'm saying?
Stars. You got to do all the things. You can't level up unless you get all the things and you grow and then you get the thing. I think that what's interesting is that it's a mix. It can be trauma, and it could be it could just be it's societal learned behavior, survival. It's a very survival learned behavior. What's really cool, what I notice about the guys that I coach, and women too, because I do get to coach this, and I do see this as like I love bridging the gap between men and women because we have a lot more similarities and differences, like a lot. We're obviously, yes, you have some that have more estrogen, more testosterone, more progesterone, different hormones. I might be more quicker at accessing intuition, but I can teach any guy to access intuition like that. It's easy, so easy, because we all have feminine and masculine traits inside of us. I wish we never called it that. I wish we never called it masculine.
Why do you think let's just go into this then. Why do you think the mainstream does that? Why do you think they're pegging it like that?
I think it was I think it was just something that was done a long time ago without thought process as to what that would incur and what that would infer and what that would create in someone to hear that. I don't think that they intended that to, like, all of a sudden for the next 3 decades for people to run with that and use it to bash each other. I don't think that was the intention. So unfortunately now it's, okay, this is the language that we've used. Let's see if we can get a little bit more comfortable with understanding that we do all have both of them inside of us. It's too late to change that terminology. It's the jargon that we use in order to communicate with each other to name something. So, I think that it's just used now as like clickbait, and it still exists. There's still feminine and masculine energy. It's just not what people think. It doesn't mean feminine is feminine and masculine is for men, or feminine is for women and masculine is for men. And it also doesn't mean that a woman in her feminine energy steps into femininity doesn't have the ability or the capability, or that she's not supposed to actually step into also utilizing masculine energy. I actually talked about this earlier today on another podcast. Back in the day, and I do believe that we're going back to primal. Primal doesn't change. Primal's there. Our level of consciousness does. About every 30 years, we wake up to a new level of consciousness. I remember I woke up a lot in 2020. We're having another wave of that happening. And then we wait and see who sits back down, right? They wake up. A lot of people sit back down because it's comfortable and they're allowed, and they can come from a place of privilege, and it's fine. It's not, but it is what it is. And so... And then the rest of us like pull the ones that are waking up through, like, come on, Becky. Come on, Karen. I got you. And where was I going with that before I went off on my tangent? We wake up masculine, feminine. Oh, primal. So back in the day, cavemen, all that, it was hunter-gatherers. Gatherer is a job. Women would gather. In fact, the community would gather, so would men. So we actually went out and we hunted for the berries. We hunted for the things that wouldn't kill us, that we could eat, right? You can't hunt all year round and you can't gather all year round. We did it as a team. So it was very cohesive. And we did everything together. And actually, back in the day, primal, men actually were always arm's distance away from children because they taught emotional grounding. And for men, actually, the more emotionally regulated you are, the safer the community. Men actually taught protection by grounding the community. So when we had more men become actually away from and distant from their emotions and distance from themselves, that's when we had a lot of problems. You were nodding when I was saying that. So that's something that you've known about. That's something that okay, hold up. How did you know about that? What do you know?
What do I know?
What do you know?
So I come from the school of Dr. Eric Thomas.
Okay.
You know who that is?
I'm familiar, but not as much with,
so on Instagram, he'll be E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Okay. I've
Ball
come
cap.
across his stuff.
Yeah, motivational speaker.
Yes. Okay, cool. Yes.
Yeah.
Continue.
So in my development journey,
yeah,
it started in health and fitness, right? And that was from 2011 to about 2020, right? So really tapping in, extrapolating in a lot of his teachings and things like that. And he's not really he talks about his wife, and things like that, but it's that emotional regulation that took time and years to really, really unpack. And the thing is, what I learned from it is that health is wealth is number one. And if your body is not healthy, then the mind's not healthy. And if your mind's not healthy, then the body's not healthy. So when you get around folks, I can always, and this is not to create any disses to people, if you're not having somewhat of an active lifestyle, and when I say active, maybe you're walking on the treadmill, maybe you're doing strength and conditioning, you're doing yoga, you're figuring it out, it will tell me everything I need to know. Because if you're just going to sit there and be in this steady state, go to work your 9 to 5, come home, drink, eat food, do all of that. We eat bad food.
Right.
You say you're sober. I drink a little bit of alcohol. I don't do any other substances, but my mind is always sharp.
Yeah.
So when you're sharp in your mind, and this can be after 3 or 4 drinks, I'm still sharp because I know my disciplinary actions. So you have to have that center of groundedness when you're out. And I think, again, it intimidates a lot of people. It intimidates them because they're not at where you're at. So what then it becomes is you're now a threat.
Yes.
Oh, he gonna read me. She gonna read me. I get that all the time. You've been on dates. What, are you coaching me? Are you podcasting me? What? No. Shut up. I'm just here. I'm me.
Yeah. If I even I've gotten so much better at my picker, who I'm even choosing. And this is what I teach my clients, and I've done it to myself, and I love it. This is why we talked about H.H.A.L.T, right? Horny, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I practice all of this on myself. depending on my mindset, because it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're not human. I do not believe in spiritual bypassing, and I do not believe in toxic positivity. I have emotions. I have feelings. I have things that'll trigger me still, or not as bad, but I have things that'll offset me, right? I take care of those needs and I meet those needs today. So that way I'm not accidentally looking for someone else to do for me what I cannot do for myself, right? Which means that naturally as I'm swiping, I don't swipe on people that have pain in their eyes anymore like I used to. I remember when I had I had something happen to me in 2020, and I was like dissociating, staring at a wall. I had all kinds of trauma. I talk about it another time. But I had to flee to Mexico for a bit to heal because I was not okay. And I took that time to test something for my clients because I knew it. I have a background in psychology, but I was like, let me test something really quick. Our mindset attracts, and how I feel, my belief system attracts what who I pick. We attract what we vibrate at. And inside I was vibrating with trauma and I didn't feel safe. The voices in my head were saying, I'm not safe in the world. And so I jump online. I'm just like, I'll just, play around on the apps. Let me just zone out, blah, 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 doing something. And I start swiping, and then I'm not even paying attention. I'm just swiping. And I caught myself swiping right on people who had, like, when I matched with them, looked like they had a lot of trauma and pain in their eyes in the photos. And I caught myself swiping left on people and my head was saying something like, oh, not this person. They would never understand what I'm going through. And I was like, whoa, what did I just say? And so it's so subtle. It's so subliminal. It's so minute. But as you heal and you face those things inside of yourself, who you are, and you'll always be attracted to people. I'm always clear with my clients. You never lose attraction. And that's a primal, that is a number one. If it's not mutual attraction, it ain't it. So you're always going to be and have that mutual attraction with the right people. So that's number one. All of a sudden, the people that I was matching with had a lot of trauma and pain, and it was wild and crazy. And then I used to match with people who would be like, oh, you're a coach. Can you fix me? And I was like, oh. So,
the nonsensical statements that people make.
And everyone reveals themselves. Everyone always reveals themselves. Everyone always says, shares, or behaves and reveals where they're at on their journey. And it's on us to learn how to not take everyone else's stuff personally. We talked about projecting. Everyone is just revealing where they're at. And if I'm triggered by it, and if I'm feeling personally attacked by it, that means I have inner work to do that I get to do because I'm about to up level. And then that person either joins me on that journey, or it's a thank you so much for that lesson and blessing, and I'll, good luck on yours.
Let's get into the confirmation biases that people bring into dating in the first initial stages. Because I think what happens is, I can speak for men, and I speak for my men that I know that are wanting to find that wholesome person. But there's the gamey we're still playing Monopoly on the board, right? We got Boardwalk, we got Park
Tony's
Place.
Fucking cheating. Fuck this shit. Poof,
right? We got Marvin Gardens one moment. We have all these different cards, railroads. But
Who keeps taking Boardwalk and Park Place? Who keeps doing that? Who keeps taking Boardwalk and Park Place, turn those into hotels you got to keep avoiding? Who's doing that?
Listen. If you really want to have the Monopoly conversation, you don't need Boardwalk or Park Place. So I've won games by just owning 3 properties and had hotels on them. I'm not going to tell you the strategy because then people be like, oh, that's what you got to do.
It's so bad. Yeah, I'd have to go back and play Monopoly with my brother from all the years that I had to let him win. And then I was cheating, apparently, if I win. This is I'm triggered. I'm just kidding.
It's all good. But no,
so the games.
Yeah, so what we're speaking to is the games that happen consistently, where men approach women and they don't know how to have normal conversation. Yeah. Because you'll ask a question and all it is just soaking everything in. And then it's like no questions are being relayed. And you're like, well, do you find me interesting? If I call you out on that, then I look like I'm a bad guy. Or vice versa. You hear women say the exact same thing. I try to ask this guy a question. Could be on Instagram. Could be on a dating app. And it's like, there's no reciprocation.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you're trying to get reciprocity from someone and it's not there, move on. Because if you're sitting there forcing it, then you're already in the wrong game. If you have to play games at someone, that means through your relationship with that person, you're going to have to continue to not be yourself and you will never be able to drop your guard. You're trying to play pickleball and you don't even like pickleball. You like basketball. Stop trying to play pickleball unless you like pickleball. So what we're doing and what I coach my clients on is we want to find the right people that we're safe to play games with and we're safe to make mistakes with. That's the whole point of life. That's in everything. Am I safe to make a mistake with you? Am I safe to be me with you? Right? And so what we do is, and how I teach people to communicate is learn, first of all, more about you and the things that make your heart throb and make you happy and bring you stupid, silly joy. When you're filled with joy and you can connect to someone and bring up something that brings you joy, you're going to see a lot faster if that person's in alignment. That's it. I do not believe in trying to figure the girl out and see does she like this or do I need to talk about Barbies? No, because if you approach me with that stuff, I'm going to be bored. But if someone's coming to me real and they're talking about snowboarding or psychology or world affairs, I don't care if I'm in a bar. First of all, I'm not going to go to a bar anyway, unless I'm forced there by friends. I'm sober, but you can find wholesome or fun or exciting or grounded or healed. You can find anything because if you're already vibrating at that frequency, you're gonna be a match. And so if you're getting a no from someone, thank God, because move on faster. I had to learn that lesson. For me, I have a tendency to stay around people that are emotionally unavailable, or I did. That was my biggest lesson because it activated my abandonment wound and it made me feel like I'm not good enough. And so I would try and force relationships with people and keep it going and have to do the game stuff. Because women have to do it too. We don't have to, but we learn and we grow and then we realize, I don't like this game. I want to find a partner that doesn't make me look sideways and because this is something too. We want a partner, not a project. So if I'm turning sideways because you're manipulating, you're cold, you're distant, you're mean, you're cruel, you hate yourself, you don't have your stuff together, you hate your friends, you hate your career, you don't know yourself, you don't know what you love, you don't know what you like. Now, instead of me helping other people and being on my path, I have to stop my path to help you and pull you up. Now we can do that as a partnership a little bit. Like there's been times where I dated someone and his career was starting to take off, so he needed a little extra help, so I paid some bills. And then I was starting to shift in my career, so he paid the bills. But the way we communicated was empowerment. I believed in that person, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt, he believed in me so much. That was my homie. That was my best friend. That was the man I couldn't keep my hands off of. But we were young and I didn't know yet how to find my end all be all yet. I didn't know who I was. So I didn't know that we weren't in alignment, that we weren't going the same place. And eventually we parted ways. But I learned so much. I learned what it looks like. So learn yourself. And then when you're communicating with these people, this is one way that I do it. Start with commonality, find the commonality, and then share information to create a connection. You can flirt with an innuendo if you're finding that her body language is open to you, and then go back to commonality. That's the flow with it.
Bang, let's go. Natalie just dropping nuclear warheads over here.
I do. Let me give an example. So guys can really write this one down. So if I come up to you and I'm a guy and I'm approaching a woman and I'm like, start with something that isn't her looks. It doesn't mean you don't give a woman a compliment, especially beautiful women. Beautiful women actually don't receive as many compliments as you think. We just don't, because a lot of people will sit there and not compliment us. I didn't know I was beautiful for a long time because I didn't know, no one came up to me. Now I receive beautiful compliments. And the ones that really touch my heart are the ones that when someone sees me and they see something about me, especially that resonates with them, right? So some would be a vibe or energy, a really safe one to use, especially if you don't know if she's got a boyfriend or a husband, is like, hey, I just want to say you have such great energy. I was just picking that up, and I just wanted to come by and say hi. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm Rory. Nice to meet you. I only got a second, but yeah, I just want to see, like, is this your first time here? Have you ever been to this music festival before? Oh, no way. You're kidding. Yeah. So now you found commonality. You're at a music festival. You're an observant. And so now you can share something. I've actually been here 3 times, but I feel new every single time. So I've been challenging myself to just talk to people that seem really awesome. But I'll definitely admit it's terrifying. So what brings you here? Are you here with anyone? You know, and then if there's a connection there, she's opening up. She's like, oh, no way, da da da. Like, no, I'm here with like one of my other girlfriends, but she disappeared for a second. Yeah.
I'm gonna riff on this one. I'm gonna riff on this. So this is where I come in. I'm just gonna insert some dose, because when you're having that conversation, now watch her body language, because her body language is gonna tell you everything it is. Now I'm not saying like body language if she's like, say, drinking or anything, but as Natalie's explaining all this, you're gonna see the playing with the hair, the fidgetiness, the dilated pupils, because you in the game. You're in the game now. So what you got to do, and I'm gonna use expression from Kobe Bryant. Mama mentality doesn't start unless you have the basketball, right?
Yeah.
So now the basketball is between the commonalities what Natalie's just speaking to. So it's for you now to say is, are you going to play offense, or are you going to play defense, or are you going to pass the ball and create an assist?
Also, here's one that I'll add. Are you playing with someone that also loves basketball? Because you're about to find out. And you do not force someone to play basketball if you want to play basketball. Your job is not to force someone to like you. Screw that. I spent so many years doing that. You don't need that shit anymore. What you want to do is you want to find out if this person likes the same games as you. And then afterwards you find out, do they have the nice locker talk that you do? Because this is where boundaries come in. So if you have a player on your team, for instance, you're the lead of your team. And if you have a player on the team that is bad mouthing people, that's disrespectful, that doesn't even want to be there, you bench them. Like, hey, we're not doing that here. This is an empowered place. I'm not having that. You bench them. Now, if they continue, they're off the team. That's standards.
Whew, my God, I love this. This is good, because you need to have standards.
Yeah.
You need to have standards. And men have to have standards and women have to have standards. Yes. And this is the reason why I'm like, people got to just understand what the frick they're doing. What are you doing in this dating realm?
Yeah, or just be down to F around and find out. Like, that's fine. Hire someone. You can meander through. I learned a lot, but it was actually when I started coaching men was when I had the greatest healing. Is when I realized that men also are in this with us, that they don't know what they're doing either. I thought you guys did. I was one of those women that thought that you guys knew the answers more than we did, and you manipulated us on purpose. I thought you guys knew. I thought you knew that you were hurting women. I thought you knew. I thought you knew that you were hurting other men. And then I started coaching, and I got the whole rainbow. Well, not all rainbow. Sorry, guys, not rainbow. But I got the whole heart exposed to me, and I really got to see, like, someone's going to comment on the YouTube thing about being exposed as a woman. I got amazing, like, insight into men laid out for me, and the truth laid out to me where I couldn't deny it, where I was like, oh, no, you're hurt and you've been hurt just like I've been hurt. Now, yes, predominantly men are in positions of power, so they're hurting a little bit more, and then they're hurting other men, and then those men are hurting women, and then women are hurting men. So it's just a cycle. But wow. Yeah.
And what you're speaking to, it's the truth, because us men, society tells us we're not supposed to, be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I spin it like this, and I say is, your vulnerability can just be speaking. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to cry. Right. Yes. Because I'll be honest, I don't think, and I've seen this happen, unless it's your mother, I don't think a lot of women know how to process that emotion if a man is crying for whatever reason. If they're still toxic. Okay, fair.
Just pushing back on that one.
Yeah, that's what's fun. But I think with some,
if they're constantly crying, then we might be
if they see it, because I'll speak to a situation. I was dating
same
someone.
Thing with men and women. Like if a woman's like constantly crying, a guy's gonna be like, I don't know how to plug this up.
Yeah,
fix her.
I remember I was dating someone. This was been probably like 3.5 years ago, and I was speaking about a situation of my best friend that passed away however long ago.
No, never mind.
Right?
Tyrone. Shout out Tyrone.
Yo. You're wild. I see what you're doing here. He's gonna love this one. He's gonna be like, why y'all keep talking about me?
Because Erykah Badu did.
Right? But here's the thing, right? I was in a conversation with another friend in the States, and he had one of his family members pass away, which was like a brother to him. And I was speaking, and it triggered me. I wasn't emotionally crying, but right then and there, I know that she did not know what to do. It's kind of like she was like frantic. And I'm not going to say there was any like toxicness per se, but I think she was just like, what do I do here? Do I comfort him? Do I allow him space? So she kind of was like R2D2 a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, it's all good. And after she's like, at that moment, she goes, I did not know what to do. I didn't know what you needed. And I'm like, it's fine. I was just speaking about things. It's not like I need you to come over, hold my hand, caress me or anything like that. Sure, if you wanted to do that, I would have accepted it. It's not like I would have declined it. But you can see where some women, doesn't necessarily have to be trauma, they don't know how to process that a little bit.
Can I add insight onto this one?
Go ahead.
So women, just because they speak about emotions doesn't mean that they've processed them. Men, just because they don't speak on emotion doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. Both parties have reactions and actually don't know initially, like when you go through life, you actually don't know how to process emotions unless you're taught that by like your family, if they're really good, or society, or something teaches you, you figure it out. But oftentimes we don't actually know how to process. Now, someone can only meet you at the level that they've met themselves. So if she's someone that dismisses herself and doesn't know what to do about her own emotions, and just kind of gets reactionary, then when you have emotions, she's just not going to know what to do. But what's cool, though, what I do like is that this sets the tone for a beautiful conversation on, I don't know how to meet your needs. What do you need from me moving forward? And that I like. That, because what that actually shows is that she's going to have some more work to do. Back then, I don't know where she's at now, but that would indicate that she would need a little bit more work on her own emotions and allowing herself to be nurturing to herself. And I'm sure that you found that in the relationship too. She could probably be very hard and harsh on herself. And so that's going to be something that if you guys are down as a team, you know, you could guide her on that one of like, hey, sometimes we don't need anything.
So
sometimes we just need to be present with each other.
And you know why I dressed it up like that? Because that's a past situation that's dead and gone. But what I got from that and what I want the audience to really calibrate with is no matter what you're doing in your relationship, if it's man and woman or whatever you dabble in, when a person can say is, what is it you need from me? Openly. Openly, and you don't have to force it, that shows a level of self-worth and self-accountability.
Respect and love and, oh my God, everything. I love that.
You see what I'm saying?
That. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when somebody can do that, that's when you know. That's when you know. Why
it's never about being fully healed or healed. It's just being down to be ready to take accountability and grow. Because when you're with someone, whether you like it or not, you're about to have everything of your subconscious and your limits reflected back to you. And if you're down to take ownership and accountability, you're about to have your biggest growth. Whether or not they stay with you, I don't know. That's going to be on them, because that's where free will comes in. They can be down and do the same thing too. But it's not about them. It's, you know, are you down to show up? But there's beautiful moments like that of like just someone looking at you and going, wow, I froze and I didn't know how to receive you. In the future, what works best for you? Because what I love is that she didn't make it about herself. She wasn't like, oh my God, this and that, you made me uncomfortable. And she was like, you needed something and I felt inadequate in that moment. Can you help me with what? And she trusted you. She trusted you to communicate your needs to her. That's what I love. That's partnership. Oh, you have
level
some
of
good
growth.
ones.
Level of growth. It's a level of growth.
Ones. But yes, guys, you're not going to always meet women that are in touch with their emotions. Just because we're emotionally dumping, we've been taught as a society that we like talk it out. That doesn't mean we're processing. And you guys have been taught shove it down. Talk it out, shove it down, shove it out, shove it down. Neither one of those is processing. So if you're talking to a woman and you're dating and you're noticing that you guys are not seeing eye to eye or hearing each other and she's just talking in circles, means that she's triggered still or she's whatever. Usually what I do in that situation is I tell the guy, this is how you can communicate boundaries and come together. Hey, listen, it seems like we're not hearing each other. My guard is raised. Your guard is raised. Why don't we take 10 minutes to 20 minutes? Let's regulate. I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to journal because obviously something's bothering us here and I need to be able to hear you. And I feel like we're not hearing each other. So let's regulate our emotions. Please, I recommend, like, if you can journal this, I really need to know what it is that you're needing to say and let's come to solution. Let's come back with solution. And if she's like, no, it's not going to work for me because I need us to be able to hear each other. And I'm not going to sit here and argue with each other and not hear each other. So we can talk.
And it goes even to my point of view now where I sit at my age where it's like, I don't think you will ever need to get into you'll disagree, but I'm talking about like the screaming matches back and forth.
Oh yeah.
That shouldn't even be a thing. I think you can have differences of opinions and views and then recalibrate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Heck, maybe you don't like, I'm just going to use a sports reference. Maybe you don't like the OKC Thunder, but I like the Pacers.
Right. Ooh.
We may not like that, but you know what? We can sit here and we can still be in the confines of a house or an outing and still watch the NBA finals.
Listen, my best friend is married for over 13 years now, and he's Knicks and she's Miami Heat, and they make it work.
Shit.
I know. And they're like hardcore with it. But you know what? Recently I was on the phone with her and like a Knicks game was on and she was actually, it wasn't against the Heat or anyone and she was actually rooting for the Knicks. And I was like, oh my, I almost cried. I was like, look at that growth. Ooh, girl, look at you.
But you know what that is though? But that even comes down to speaking to compatibility. And I think that's one of the biggest things I can speak to men is like, she may not like sports, but eventually she will.
Yeah. Oh, well,
eventually she will.
She's a sports loving, poli-sci woman, beautiful, gorgeous, all the things. She's my best friend. She's just perfect. Yeah. She's perfect to me. So, but yes, you don't have to love everything and you don't have to have the same hobbies. And what'll happen is when you pick the right person, they will love that you love your hobbies. They will love that. Baby, you go do your fantasy thing. You go do that. Oh my God. I love you, cute little boy. I mean, that's not cute, honey. You do with the boyfriend. You do with your boyfriend. So go have fun.
Well, you know what you're speaking to now, because that's where the ebbs and flows and things like that come through. Because it's like, I know men that may not like Morgan Wallen. I'm on a Morgan Wallen tip lately. You know what I mean? Yeah. This summer is straight Morgan Wallen and just being in the gym and working out.
Yeah.
You may not like Morgan Wallen, but you know what? There could be an anniversary, could be a birthday where you're like, hey, I got you tickets. Ooh. Let me massage this in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to go with your sister or you want to go with your friend, by all means do that. But you're supporting that person.
Yes.
And that's why I think that's the missing ingredient. Because I'll be honest, up here, I still watch pro wrestling. It is what it is.
I grew up watching that.
Right?
I love it. Yeah.
Right?
And
I went up to the
WWF back in the day.
WWE's no, not F. They had to get rid of the F.
I know. But I was watching it when it was WWF.
Okay, fair is fair. And it was so amazing to see how many couples were there in that setting, men and women, and you can see the women are just in it with the men. There was a couple sitting behind me, right? Because someone in my community bought me an actual ticket just to go. And this girl was everybody that came out and she was calling out the spots, calling out the moves. And I'm sitting here in the back of my mind and I'm like, motherfucker, this girl is like in it. And she hits her boyfriend and she's like, babe, you see that? You see that? And I'm like, hello?
I love it. I love it. Stone Cold Steve Austin is still my top. And that man is like for equal rights and equality. And I realized that at a young age, I looked up to some great people. I love it so much. I love it.
You and my guy Anthony Trelacy, right? Y'all have this obsession with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I can't with it because to me it wasn't for me.
I mean, no, I wasn't even living in the South then. I lived in Connecticut, which is where a lot of that resided. And then I moved to Florida, and I was shocked with Florida. I was like, get me out of here fast. And so I wasn't really into like the beer drinking, shove it on your head. But there was something about his personality and him as a man that it was like I could see past the facade or the world wrestling thing. I saw the person. And even as a young girl, I saw that and I was like, there's something about him. He stood for something. He spoke up for people. He protected. He was a big protector. And I think that, in my family, we're big on that too. We had a lot of toxicity. We had a lot of crazy stuff, but we're big on like family is really important to us. And so years later, all of a sudden I'm, following him on Instagram and I see him posting about, speaking up for the Black community and for equality and for women's rights and for this and that. And I think for me, what I admire is that when you can be in an environment, like for instance, the South can be overtly racist. The North can be covert a lot, but you'll still have overt. We still see it all the time. I've watched it happen in front of my face with my best friends and and my cousins. And it is shocking. But when you have someone, especially like, I think one of my favorites is leftists, men who are also rednecks. Oh, they got my heart. They should have everything for free. If you consider yourself a redneck and you drive pickup trucks and you blast country music and you are a leftist and you ride hard for equality and for like marginalized communities, you should have everything for free. You should have I want to start a team of women. I call it, I'm not allowed to say the word, but you should get free P word. If you, for leftist men is what because here's the reason that follow me on this. It takes a lot more balls, if I'm allowed to say balls. It takes a lot more cojones. It takes a lot more oomph. It takes a lot more strength to sit there and in the face of people where you would normally be made fun of or called weak or a snowflake or whatever because you're not an asshole. It takes so much power and knowing yourself as a man and a woman. For the women out there too, you should get free everything for that and other things. And men too. There's other things too you should get free stuff for. But for this, I'm speaking on this. It takes so much to stand in your truth and care about other people so much that you could be in a community that would mostly fester hatred or denial or racism or sexism. And yet you're there and you'll stand 10 toes down and look, another person in the eyes and be like, not today. You're not going to say that around me. This is what I believe. And these people deserve respect. That to me is, I'm like, no notes.
Natalie, I think that's where we gotta just put the fire out and just come to just a little bit of a close here because here's what I'll say before we get out of here completely is one, you resonate with folks because I'm always prospecting in this space. For me, it's not about numbers, it's about that energy. It's about is there a relatable story that's there? And seeing you on that other big platform of the podcast, I was like, no, something's there. Then I went to the Instagram. And then when I saw the Instagram, and that's why I reached out to you the way I reached out to you. Because the thing is Sorry?
Made my day. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. And what I see there is that I already know you're going places. Like it's obvious. You can see it. Like podcasting world's ready for you. Right. And I know that whatever you do in that space, you're going to kick ass and you're going to conquer it. It's belts to asses, boots to asses, whatever you want to call it. And you can take the nation by storm, take the world by storm, because I think we need more wholesome conversations. Doesn't matter if you're a dating coach, as long as you have a story and you can speak to help someone. I always talk about 1% better.
Yeah.
But can your 1% better amplify that man, that woman, or even that child to shape and shift their perspective of life for them to go into the right direction, not the wrong direction? Because there's so much misinformation that's out there. And we need to start disseminating more positive energy, more positive reinforcements, groundedness in our space, because there's so much fluff that's out there. I'm over Bonnie Blue, Lily Phillips, the treason, the treachery, all of these different things. Yeah. This is the stuff that needs to be out there, that needs to be put in the front of the people's face, not that fluff, not that guck. But shout outs to you, and keep going. Keep building your brand. Keep doing what you're doing. You have a fan. You have a friend here. I want to see it all just build. You know what I mean? Because that's what we need in this world, in this community.
I appreciate that so much. And just to say, wrap up on this too, is like, I knew there was a reason that I needed to go on that podcast that was very difficult. And I broke down that night after I did that podcast. It was really difficult. But what I did was, and I made the choice, is I tried to focus on the good. I had to talk to friends of mine, coaches, and my coach and friends that are coaches, to help me pivot my perspective. Because I was like, how could I go into a toxic environment like that and allow that? But at the same time, it was like, yeah, but sometimes that's part of what we do. Like when you know that you can share something or that you've done enough. And also my biggest fear is being seen. I mean, I've done a lot of work on it, but my biggest fear is being on podcasts or on news channels and getting attacked. And the truth is that once I had that experience where I did actually have that, I'm not afraid of anything anymore. And I made a choice to go back into the comments and read all the beautiful comments about me. I ignored the negative ones because I know about YouTube and that kind of stuff but there were so many beautiful ones that just broke my heart in a good way, like opened it back up so that I could receive. And then I was like, you gave me an email, and then I had like 2 other people that emailed me. And I was like, there's so much good that can happen. I don't need to go through that again. But there's sometimes we go through toxicity because, and this is the part of one of my courses, my private coaching, is From Toxic to Triumph. Sometimes you do walk through things because you're going to be shown and seen that you are so much stronger than what you thought. And when you come out the other side, you're going to see why you went through it. And I get to do this. I get to hear you. I'm like, I get to meet more people. I get to expand. There's just so much. And I'm very grateful.
Just to even add on to that, I've always learned this in life. Sometimes when I don't know what your spiritual belief is, but you have the universe, you have God.
Yeah.
But when you're walking your divine light, negative will try to come in, pull you down. But what ends up happening is negative never wins. That's just a moment within that time frame. But it's quite funny is when they try to pull you down to hell, the right people start orbiting. And what happens? They're the ones who lift you up, and those are the angels.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's the thing what folks don't understand. They can say whatever they want to say, but you always hear this cliche saying, they say, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So whatever they want to say, however they want to mock and jeer and say all the comments and do all of this, you rise above.
Yeah.
Sometimes you put that mouth guard and you bite on the mouth guard, you pull up your socks, you say, hey, listen, I keep going forward no matter what. Stay focused. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Natalie, I want to bring it back to you one last time. Plug all your social media information. Where can people check out your coaching? What do you have coming up? I feel like I'm just going to call it out. There's got to be an audiobook. It's coming soon. Is that happening?
I have a book out now called How to Get the Girl, Learn the Secrets to Attract and Keep Quality Women. I haven't done the audiobook yet. I'll do that. I'll make the audiobook, but that one's in hardcover and paperback and Kindle. And I'm going to start working on another book. I have a 90-day coaching program from toxic to triumph. I help people go from toxic to triumph and get more love, money, and success in 90 days or less. That's my private coaching. You can find that on lovecoach247.com. All of my social media is at Natalie Stavola. I'm mostly on Instagram. I do also have a coaching one that's Natalie.Stavola, and I'll post things on there as well too. But the main one that I'm on is Natalie Stavola on Instagram. And coming up, I might be doing some more boot camps. I might be doing some boot camps for men. I'm teaming up with some other coaches. We're looking at doing boot camps. And there's going to be some more courses coming out. So doing that. Public speaking is really where I'm wanting to jump into now and start to tour and do that more. So I'm, if anyone wants to reach out to me and book me for public speaking, by all means, I'm open and available. I crush it on sets. Obviously, I'm an
I can tell. You have a doppelganger that's out there. I'm gonna after we close out the show permanently, I'm gonna tell you who you should reach out to. I'm going to try to see if there's a connection there because you're all about the same person, technically.
I love it.
Kind of.
Yeah. I'm finally sharing that. I'm like, I want to do more public speaking and do more paid public speaking gigs and tour and do all that because it's just I love it. I get so much energy from it. And there's so many different topics because I do NLP and because I have the background in psychology and subconscious mind work. I do a lot with like mindset manifestation. It can be in dating. It can be in career. It could be overcoming toxic situations in order to win. It's a lot of like how to read what's in front of you and overcome anything in order to get the life and love life that you want.
For sure. So, I appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I know they're going to love this one because they have no choice to love this one.
Yes. I can't wait.
Thank you again.
Comments.